Hey everyone, this is the No BS Crypto Guy, Rob Shapiro, and today I want to talk about this gentleman right here. Not sure if you've heard anything about this. If you haven't, you definitely want to know. This guy is Bill Huang, and for those of you who don't know Bill, he is the basically the head person at the Archigos family fund that is possibly going to be the person that might trigger the next market crisis. I'm not sure. It seems like they're doing their best to get this under control, but let me tell you a little bit about this guy. He basically runs the Archigos fund, and let's go ahead. Let me look that up for you, okay? So let's go to Google, and we're going to type that in. Okay. Archigos Capital. Okay. Alright, so how did Archigos Capital collapse? Archigos Capital Management. Okay. It's a family office capital management firm run by Bill Huang. And on March 26, 2021, Archigos defaulted on margin calls from several global investment banks, including Credit Suisse, Nomura Holdings, as well as Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. His firm, the Archigos firm that he's running, that he's basically investing for, they had concentrated positions in Viacom, Baidu, VipShop, Farfetch, and some other companies. Okay, and they have lost at least $8 billion in a 10-day period, lost another $20 billion in 2 days. So let's go back over to this article I have here. Okay, so what I wanted to get into about this is this article right here is basically saying that other banks other than Goldman Sachs, they have the equivalent of penis envy in the investment world. And what that means is Goldman Sachs is like the big daddy investment bank firm. Like nobody goes over them. And in the 2001 to 2008 market, house market bump up and then crisis, Goldman Sachs realized that they were in big trouble in 2006, and they actually offloaded all of their risky mortgages before it crashed down. They were smart enough to do this, but Lehman Brothers on the other side ended up doing the opposite. And the reason why they did it is because they had the equivalent of this, so-called penis envy. They wanted to top Goldman Sachs in their profitability. And of course, we all know that all just blew up in their face, and it destroyed Lehman along with some other firms. Now, this guy right here, he basically played all of these banks. Goldman Sachs, he played Credit Suisse, Nomura, and the way he did this is he somehow talked them into allowing him to buy stocks, but they would buy it for him, and they would hold it. And what this did was it allowed him to hold larger positions than you're normally allowed to before you have to report it to the SEC. Because what you have to understand is that if you hold 5% or more of a stock holding, you have to report it to the SEC, because then people are going to watch you, they're going to watch what you do, and it kind of gives them a heads up as to what may happen with that stock. Say, for instance, you decide one day, hey, I'm just going to dump it, right? You have to report those things, right? Well, he didn't want to do that. So what he did was he talked Goldman Sachs and Credit Suisse and Nomura into buying these stocks for him. And he basically did this through what are called swap lines. And what this is that, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, Nomura would buy the stocks, and he would have like a promise that he would pay if the stocks went down. He would pay for the losses, just losses, and if it went up, they would pay him the gains. And so, unfortunately for them, he ended up losing billions of dollars, and they thought they were the only game in town. Like, they thought they were the only ones that had these swap contracts with them, and it turns out multiple banks did. And so he duped them so that he could get around the SEC requirements. Now, what's my point of this? My point is that this is one of the reasons that cryptocurrency is coming around. This is why it's here. It was invented by Satoshi Nakamoto. And let me see if I can find Satoshi Nakamoto, who is a pseudonymous creator of Bitcoin. Nobody knows who this person is. Okay? And I want to see, okay, yeah, Satoshi's message in the Genesis block. Alright, so unfortunately for, oh, here it is. Right over here. January 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Okay? He actually put a picture in the Genesis block of Bitcoin. And so I'm trying to find that picture. Let's see here. Let me Google it. So Google picture. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. Picture of Bitcoin Genesis block. All right. Let's see here. Let me see if I can get this for you. And let's go to images. Alright, this is what I wanted you to see. Here it is. He actually embedded this picture into the Genesis block. The Times out of London. Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. And he basically said that Bitcoin was in response to the reality that you can no longer trust financial institutions to govern themselves properly. You can't trust central banks to do it, okay? The Fed, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, they're all pretty much tied in together, okay? They're all in the same rigged game. And when I saw this, this is what drove me into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ultimately. And so what you have that's coming around, you have decentralized finance. So let me show you some examples of decentralized finance. Okay. Decentralized finance. Okay. Now look, I'm doing things that you can do at home if you want to, if you want to look into this stuff. So, what is decentralized finance? It's a blockchain-based form of finance that does not rely on central financial intermediaries such as brokerages, exchanges, or banks to offer traditional financial instruments, and instead utilizes smart contracts on blockchains, the most common being Ethereum. That should give you a hint as something that you may want to hold in your portfolio. Okay. Some other ones would be Binance, Decentralized Exchange, and let me see here, Polkadot, Cardano. There's a few other ones out there. Okay. There's actually a bunch of decentralized exchanges. Cream. Anything that's pretty much finance, .finance, like Yam.finance, Beefy. They have silly names, I realize it, but you're dealing with young people. They just, they don't want to take themselves too seriously. Once you get past that, you understand that they're onto something really good. Let's see here, Investopia. Let's go here, decentralized finance, smart contracts. So this is the wave of the future. They are going to disintermediate banks and financial institutions, okay? And here's why this is so important. These structures are ran by human beings, and human beings are susceptible to two major emotions: greed and fear. All right? And when you combine those with money, you tend to get ugly outcomes. And unfortunately, a lot of people end up taking the losses. If you're on the winning end, I guess that's great. Of course, we all want to be on that. But most of the time when the shit hits the fan, it's a few people who end up winning, and isn't it interesting that it almost always ends up being the people at the top that win the most? All right? The goal of decentralized finance is to get these people out of the way. All right? Is to democratize finance. Is that ultimately what's going to happen? I don't know. I do see some really good things. I hope so. Hopefully nobody gets in here and twists it in their favor. It's always possible. I don't know how they would do that, but I think this is definitely a better option than what we currently have. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you this quick update on this. I know this probably, this doesn't tell you what the latest hot crypto is. I'll talk about those in other videos. But I want to thank you for stopping by. I hope you learned something from this. All right, talk to you in another video.